It looks like it's going to show you who all gets on over there, the right hand side.
Okay, sorry, I had forgotten to hit record. If you need a copy of the Chapter 4 Completing the Accounting Cycle worksheets, it's 17 pages. It's in your module, or I have extra copies in my room, and I'll be here till 1 if you want to pick them up today. We're on page 6. We were working on preparing a classified balance sheet, and we had finished with the asset section. So the next thing we will do is obviously the liability section. And we will do current liabilities first. Okay, so what would be our first current liability? What do you think? Accounts payable. Okay, and that is close, 36,000. And again, as I said before, these 3 columns, there is a purpose for them. But if you're trying to prepare one on a test, don't get too upset about.
You put that in current liabilities.
Yeah, you might want to.
Thank you. Don't worry about getting things necessarily in the wrong column. It's just done this way to keep it kind of neat and organized. All right, so what do you think would be next? We could do either one. There's 2 more. We could use either one next. Salaries payable is the one I would pick. And then unearned rent, or was it fees? Unearned fees. All right, so salaries payable and then unearned fees. Okay, so we've got 6,900. I swear I don't think I even touched it. I had to. Unearned fees is 10,800. So what is the total of my current liabilities? $53,700, yes. Okay, so the next section would be your owner's equity section. And the only thing that will be in it is capital. So we've got Chris Myers capital. And that amount is $307,650. So what is the total of my liabilities and owner's equity? $361,000. Finish that, and owner's equity. All right, so $361,350. So we have the same totals for assets and total liabilities and owner's equity. So we're in balance. That's good. Any questions on what we're doing there? Okay. Let me real quick get down who's here. All right, so let's look at the next thing in line here. We have got this end of the period worksheet for elliptical consulting. And I really kind of like these problems better because you have all of the statements to do on the same company. It's easier to see how it goes from start to finish. So the instructions tell us at the bottom underneath that worksheet that based on the spreadsheet, we need to prepare an income statement, statement of owner's equity, and balance sheet. we will always use this column. You're going to want to use the adjusted numbers. June 30 is our year ended, so that kind of tells us what our dates should be on a couple of those statements. And we're going to use these two columns to get our numbers from. Okay, so income statement. What do we need to put on this top line? Right up here, above the political consulting. What does my date look like?
For the year ended June 30th, 2019.
For the year ended June 30, 2019. Whoops, I left out part of it. All right, what's the first item on our income statement? What goes first? Fees earned. Our revenue and expenses go on our income statement. The point of preparing an income statement is to show whether we have a net income or net loss. And the way you compute that is revenues minus expenses. So we're going to want to show our revenue first. And his revenue is called fees earned. So that number is $60,000. All right, so let's list our heading here, expenses. What is our first expense account going to be? They actually have them listed for us in the right order.
Salary expense.
Income statement is only going to be revenue and expenses. Cash is going to go on your balance sheet. So we're going to put salary expense first because we're listing them in order of largest to smallest with miscellaneous last. Actually, since they have them in the proper order for us, we could go ahead and just write them down and then put the numbers over there. I don't know if I told y'all this, but when you're working one of these problems, at least on paper, it might be helpful to you if you just have them in random order, not in a organized trial balance like this, to number them, 1 through whatever, before you prepare this income statement so you know that you've gotten them in the right order. Okay, so our expenses, salaries, we have $375. No, that's payable. $32,375. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have supplies expense, $2,100. We have depreciation expense, $1,500. And we have miscellaneous of $2,000. So what are my total expenses going to be? Do y'all have any questions about any of that yet?
$37,975.
Everybody agree? Yeah. $37,975. So what will our difference be? $60,000 minus our expenses of $37,975. What do we get? Yeah. I mean, you can look at it and tell that it's going to be net income because we have more in revenue than we do in expenses. So our net income is $22,025. Yeah. Okay, so let's move to our next one. What's our next statement? What's the second one?
Statement of owner's equity.
Okay, so we'll put that here on the second line. What goes on the top line? It's always going to be the company name too. You're not ever going to put the owner's name up there. I've seen that happen before. It's a mistake. So our date will be formatted the same way for the year ended. Did we do that on that one? Year, yeah. So for the year ended June 30, 2019. Okay, so what are we going to put on here first? Well, there's some things we have to assume on here. They don't tell us this is his first month or year in operation, so we have to assume that whatever is in his capital account was there at the beginning of the year, because they also don't tell us he put any investments in. Now, if I'm giving you a problem, I'm going to be real specific about all that, so you have the information you need, and we don't have to make assumptions. So we're going to use this amount on the trial balance as his beginning capital, because we don't have any information to the contrary. So okay, what would be the first day of his fiscal year?
July 1st.
July 1st. That takes some getting used to when you're trying to figure out what the year is. It's a 12-month period, but kind of thinking through when it's not just January to December, you have to kind of, sometimes I have to get calendars out and look at them because it's weird. It's July 1st, and then it'll end on June 30th and begin again on the next July 1st. That's his business year. Okay, so we're going to assume that his beginning capital is this 82.2. Okay, because we don't have any information about investments, then we're going to assume there weren't any additional investments this year. I'm going to leave it off. If you need to have that on there just to keep your memory straight with that's what goes in that order, I don't care if you put owner investments and put 0. That's fine with me. I'm not going to put it on here because we don't have any. So the next thing we will list is net income.
Wait, what about owner withdrawals?
Net income comes second, owner withdrawals goes last. You would have net income and then owner withdrawals. So the first thing on the list is his net income, which was $22,025. And then how much are his draws? That's $2,000. You can get that from the trial balance. And remember, we need to put parentheses around it to show that it's a reduction against that number above it. So my difference here is $20,025. And what are we going to call that? Increase in owner's equity. Okay, now we'll add our increase in owner's equity for the year to our beginning number to get our ending number. Because this is telling us what we started with. This is telling us what went on during the year. We had net income of this. We had $2,000 he drew out, and he didn't put any money in. So the addition of those two numbers together will give us his ending capital on June 30. So how much does he have left? Or how much does he have now, rather? Okay, so 102 to 25, right? So we're going to need to keep our thumb there when we go to the next page because we're going to need that number. Okay, so the next one is our balance sheet. It comes last. We'll write our company name up top. What does my date look like?
June 30.
Just June 30. Well, I mean, not before the month, before the year ended. Yeah. You're definitely going to want to put, and you definitely want to put the last day of the month on there. I saw a lot of students flip that off on the exam. So, all right. Our first section is going to be our assets section. And again, I'm just kind of putting that in the middle because we've got so many other things on the left-hand side. It just kind of helps to distinguish it a little bit. So the first thing we will do is list our current assets. Okay, so what would be first? What's always going to be first?
Cash.
Cash. How much cash do we have?
27,000.
27,000. It's so nice. These numbers are nice and round. This is not the way it works in real life.
Yeah, except for the 25.
Huh?
I said except for the 25 on the last page.
Yeah. Well, what's worse is when I write the problems and trying to get a number, like if you have to divide by 3, that it doesn't come out like 333 and 34 cents. So that's why you kind of keep them even so you don't end up with strange numbers. All right, so what will we list next?
Accounts receivable.
Accounts receivable. See, all that's kind of going to stay the same. We're just adding another level here of organization.
They just have it all in order.
Yeah. Yeah, they have it all in a nice, neat order, but that's the way it's supposed to be listed. It's in the ALORE, and then, you know, typically you will see a chart of accounts in the same order as it is in the trial balance. If you keep it consistent everywhere, it kind of keeps things easier. What would be next?
Supplies.
Supplies. Okay, so that seems to be the end of our current assets. So what are our total current assets? What did I get?
81.
81 what?
81.
Yes, 81,400. Okay, so the next thing would be property, plant, and equipment. So what do we have that falls in that category?
Office equipment.
Office equipment. And right beneath it, we'll have accumulated depreciation, office equipment. It'll all fit. Okay. So we're going to put this here because what we're going to do is get the difference between the two. So this is 30,500. And how much is my accumulated? How much is my accumulated depreciation?
6,000.
6,000. I'm going to show that in parentheses because it's reducing this amount. So what's the difference between the two?
24.
Okay, we're going to put that here. You know what? I messed up on this last time too. I'm not really sure why they gave us 3 columns on this one. Because on the one we did first, we had land. So we had land, this, and then we totaled them.
Wasn't it something about like a date or something we had to put on the first column? So we skipped it and let's see the other two or something.
No, because this one doesn't have debits and credits. Really on this one you could put, that's why I'm telling you not to worry too much about the columns you're putting stuff in. Because if you don't have more than one item in your property, plant, equipment, we don't have land, we don't have any other assets. Because what you're doing is you'll get the difference between these two and you'll put it here. And so if you had another group, you get the difference, put it here. So you're only adding one single number in this column here to get a total. It's just to keep it clean, but it gets confusing. So don't sweat that too much. So you said 24.5? So if you put it over here, just, you know, draw arrows or whatever, it's fine. Okay, so that's going to be our total assets. Wait a minute, sorry. 24.5 is our,
Total property, plant, and equipment.
yeah. But since we only have one thing in there,
We can just put it next to, we don't, I mean, you still don't want to write out. So
You don't really necessarily have to enter total property and plant equipment because we only have one thing in there. There again, those are minor things. If you don't know one way or the other and you don't do it or you do it, it'll be fine. Okay, so don't sweat that too much. This stuff, he gets real picky, and at this level, I just want you to know what goes on there. What goes where, and put it in the right place and net the right things together. What do you call this number here? When you take the cost less the depreciation, what do you call that? Y'all remember?
Book value.
Book value. Y'all got that in your notes. But. All right, so let's just go ahead with our total assets here. Our number. So what's 81.4 and 24.5? Woo! Dance all right. All right, 105.9 is our total assets. Okay, so let's do liabilities next. Let's list our heading for current liabilities. So what would our first one be? Accounts payable. And then we'll have salaries payable. Okay, so we've got 3,300. And we've got 375. So our total current liabilities is 3,675. I'm telling you, if I was trying to do a statement like this, you know, in reality, I would probably have to look some of this up to see exactly which totals to put, what to call it, labels and all that kind of stuff, because you only have one thing. So, like I said, at this level, you just don't need to worry about it too much. Okay, do you see any long-term liabilities? I don't. All we have is current. So the next thing we're going to show is our owner's equity. Much neater than that. All right, so we have Jason needs capital. These problems all start running together. And how much was that?
82. Wait, do we move the stuff from the last one?
So 102, 225.
Yeah, you're going to get the capital from the previous statement.
Okay. That's where I got messed up on the last ones.
Yeah, you're using that number because the reason that statement comes first is so that we can figure out what ending capital is. So our total of these two numbers is what?
The same as
105.9?
Yeah.
Okay, that means that you have successfully balanced this balance sheet. That's good. Any questions on that? Okay, so as far as that net solutions problem goes, we got the journal entries done, right? That was that extra problem I gave y'all the other day. Did you get it? It was Monday. Okay, Wednesday. Anybody need a copy of this?
Yes. That's the, you might be adjusting entry.
Yeah. This was the one where we're working with Net Solutions. You need a copy here, we got it. That we worked on in the first couple of chapters. What I want to do is use that same company every time we add on a layer, show how it affects that so you can see the whole process with one company. So On that one, we did the adjusting journal entries. I've got the solution posted in Canvas, but if y'all want to look at it, there it is. So what happens there? What we did is go through the journal entries and get them drafted or whatever, and then posted them to the ledger, and then we did an adjusted trial balance report. So, y'all want to? What do y'all want to do? You want to go through it, or you want to? We can't get through the whole thing because it's not a time limit, but let's just kind of look at the entries again and kind of see, make sure you understand, like what.
So this is what we want to do for Monday?
Yeah.
And we can go back and watch
Yeah,
it again?
absolutely.
Okay.
I don't know how far we got. I think we just got the entries done.
Okay, well, that was good help.
Well, and the thing is, what you do is you go line by line and you put each item where it belongs in the ledger.
That's the numbers I was talking about in the middle column, and I got confused.
Yeah, these come when you're posting to the ledger. You don't do these until you post to the ledger, because what you do is we take accounts receivable of $500 and we go to our ledger page for accounts receivable. Maybe. And we post $500 in our debit column. We update our balance. We put our page number here. We write the word adjusting. Finally, we're writing something in the ledger. And we take this number 12 and we put it back on our journal entries.
Correct.
Okay.
What's the line, I guess? So we put that here to show that we posted that line. This is where it went to. Then on accounts receivable, the number 4 tells us where it came from.
Okay.
So you're going to do that with every line, get updated balances. And so once we have posted all of these, which that's why there's something in every reference column, because we had posted them all. Once you get balances in every one of the, get them all posted and get all of your balances updated. So this is out there as well in your module. So we've posted everything, everything's filled out. What you'll do next is create an adjusted trial balance report. So the balances you're using, you'll start with your cash and you'll use this last balance on here. So that's where the numbers on this report come from. You're just going through your ledger. We've got the debit and the credit column, and you're just going to fill in the balances, debit or credit, where they go. You're just going to go through the ledger account by account and fill this in. And when you're done filling it in, you're going to get totals, and your columns totals should be the same. That's what's telling you that you're in balance. If they're not, first thing I would do would be to check my math. If my math is still working, then I would go back and make sure that I have these items in the correct column. Because we did that Monday. I think we got one in the wrong place. But because that'll make you out of balance too, obviously, on your report. If that still isn't the issue, then go back to your ledger, make sure you posted everything right and you got your balances right. And you just kind of have to go backwards and look for your problem. But that's where those numbers come from. And this one is the one that is done after we've posted our adjusting entries. The one that we did last chapter or the chapter before was the unadjusted trial balance. So you've got it in 3 phases. You've got a trial balance that you do immediately after you have finished posting all the transactions for the month, just the day-to-day stuff. And then you do your adjustments, you post them to your ledger, and then you do another report with adjustments in it, called the adjusted trial balance, still to make sure you're in balance. And then the next step we're going to learn is closing. We'll do those entries, post them, then do a post-closing trial balance, which means after closing. Why they couldn't say closing trial balance, I don't know. Just have to get fancy. Isn't it funny? It's kind of comical, the little extra pieces. Especially if you're kind of outside accounting, you're like, why couldn't they just say closing trial balance? Or closed. post-closing. It means after closing, but it just seems extra wordy, right? Any questions on that stuff, or does that kind of ring a bell with y'all? I would go through it if you haven't already, and just make sure you understand the process because it's important. We're going to just keep adding to it. And again, I'm going to probably give y'all the first part of that project problem pretty soon because I want you to do it while it's fresh in your mind. And the first step is to journalize the transactions. Then I grade them and give them back to you. And then you'll post them to the ledger and you'll turn that in and I'll grade them. The point of you having to turn them in so frequently and letting me grade them is because if you make a mistake, I think y'all can tell at this point, if you make a mistake at any given point along the way, it's messing up the whole rest of the problem. So I would rather fix anything that's wrong in your transaction journal entries before you move on because it'll wreck the rest of your problem. So to me, that's easier than just having a ripple effect. Okay, no questions? Okay, well, I'm going to wait until next week to get into closing entries because nobody else has started that yet. So we're really caught up with the other classes. So, unless y'all just feel like it. Overachievers. No overachievers? She's giving me that sarcastic smile like, not today. Okay, well, y'all have a good weekend. Y'all will have some homework. I'll go ahead and put it out there. I may have already done that. Can't remember.
You did.
I did?
There was
Okay.
something beginning of the week, or last week or something, but we haven't gotten into that at all.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to add homework that you'll have over the weekend. And once we do closing entries, we'll do some review. We're going to have another test. So it's kind of speeding up, but it does that. First couple of chapters take a while. So much in those chapters. And then once we get past chapter 2, chapter 3 and 4 are pretty quick. And so it kind of picks up speed once we get to that point. So be prepared for a test pretty soon. Probably will not be next week, but the following week. Just be ready for it. Okay? All right, y'all have a good one. Let's go back to it.
Oh my gosh, you can see my bandana on the screen.